Hi guys, thanks for joining me again today. You're watching In Deep on the Delta, and we're going to talk about fishing cuts. And these cuts or depressions are made from the current, and they could be a cut in a Tullie island, maybe a real narrow Tullie island that has a cut that breaks through. It could be a flooded island that has bigger cuts that come through. It could be anywhere where the current has basically made that trough that comes through here. These are all fish magnets, and there are thousands of them out here on the Delta, and I guarantee you everybody out here, when they're running around, passes a lot of these places up probably every day. So the first thing I want to tell you is, just because it's a perfect spot doesn't mean it's going to pay off every time. The goal out here is to find lots of these spots. Over the years, maybe you'll have 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 or 100 of them all over the Delta. What you want to do is get really familiar with each one of them and know which ones produce at high tide, at low tide, incoming tide, outgoing tide. Now, all of these cuts are primarily the same, and they're all different. They're primarily the same in the Delta is a soft bottom fishery. Everywhere out here has a soft bottom. So when you get a cut and current coming in and out every day, day after day after day, it's going to cut these troughs a little deeper than the rest of the area around it. That does two things. It not only gives the fish a sanctuary to get down in deeper water, and usually that deeper water is next to some shallow water somewhere. Really good situation there. But it also scours the bottom and cleans it to where there is no underwater vegetation like hydrilla growing up to get fouled up in. So what you will find is you never know where the fish are in these places. They could be sitting out 30 or 40 feet from the cut at one time of the tide, and they could be pulled right in to the cut 20 minutes later when the tide starts moving. So I'll talk real briefly about how I approach these and what you should be looking for. Number one, as you pull up, and let's just say these areas right in front of me over on that bank, that's your prime area. That's a little cut that you know that's in there. It's a little deeper, and that's usually where the fish hang out. So as you have that deep water and it's clean water and clean bottom, you're going to come out to here, and basically about where I'm at right now, I'm in about 3 feet of water. Yeah, 3 feet of water exactly. And I could see hydrilla right down in here. I don't know if you could see the fronds of hydrilla down in here. Look at that, and we'll come back up here. As you get out here, all this hydrilla clears up, and it's clean. So what I like to do is approach these places very carefully. And if you think that that's your area and you've got that zone, maybe there's a circle in there. We'll call it a little circle, and that's your hot zone. You want to be pulling way the heck out here from that hot zone so that you're not disturbing those fish before you get to them. The other hot zone is going to be right here on this break, where you have a lot of fish holding off in this flat looking into the trough, and they'll hold in the weeds or the hydrilla here because they're safe, and they can look out in that area. And when you have bluegill or any type of bait fish that's moving around in there, they'll come out and attack it. So I usually start way off away from these things, and I'll start with a faster moving bait, like it could be a bladed bait, like a spinner bait or a bladed jig, chatter bait. Could be a crank bait. It could be an underspin. Anything like that where you can throw it out, bring it through the trough, and bring it right into the weeds and hope, or the hydrilla, and hope that fish is sitting there and just grabs it. The other baits that I will use are just basically worms, slower moving baits, jigs. In an area like this in the summer, I would be punching it. If it was summer or water 60 degrees or above, I fish these flats a lot way out from these areas with top water, especially in the morning and the evening. Of course, we're not going to do that today, but lots of different ways that you can fish this. So I generally try to fish the outside of it very quickly just to see if there's aggressive fish. Then I'll pull into my spots that I think are the key spots, and I will always start to fish my key spots with slower moving, more stealthy baits like drop shots, worms, jigs, things like that. And then I may move into my spinner baits and bladed jigs and things like that. Pull in, fish them, and then just work your way up the bank 10 feet at a time, fishing your deep spots, fishing your shallow spots, fishing points, fishing anything that you think may be holding a fish. Now with that, last but least, as you come into these places and you start finding these areas, what I would suggest is to take what I just told you about coming in very carefully and picking it apart. Kind of throw that out the window when you're fishing it for the first time. What I would do is I would start out here, I'd get on the trolling motor and I would start going right into that area, and I'm looking down and I'm looking for any break that's out from here. As I get in there, I want to look and see where the underwater vegetation is. I want to see where the trough is. I want to see where the deep water is, where the shallow water is. I want to see if there's a trough in here, and in this place there is a trough right along those Tullies. So I'm looking for maybe a log, and there's a couple of logs down there. I know where they are. You can't see them, but if you were to come in here and just literally blow through, fish it real quick, keep your eye on your graph or just visually watching what's going on, fish it very quickly so that the next time you come in, you know approximately where to set your boat up when it comes to fishing the outside, and you know the little spots. Maybe it'll be that point, maybe it'll be, you know, right behind these Tullies, maybe it'll be up here. There's going to be 3 or 4 little prime spots that you can come up and fish those areas and do it efficiently. And as you learn more and more of these cuts, you're going to find the ones that I like to fish. This one at high tide. There's one around the corner that I'm just going to pass up because it fishes better at low tide. You're going to find that some of these, as on an outgoing tide, the flat on the outside will fish better. Some of them, the flat on the inside, will fish better. You just have to work these and learn them. But man, I'm telling you, if you get out here and whether you know 10 of them or 150 of them, they will pay off, because these are the little areas that as you're shooting from Frank's track over to Mildred, or you're going down south or up north, as you pass these and you know these areas and you know when to fish them, you're going to get real efficient at coming in here and not spending 15 or 20 minutes. You're going to spend 5 minutes. You're going to know that you've got 3 casts here for aggressive fish. You've got a cast behind that Tullie berm. You've got a cast out on that point. You've got a couple punch spots. You've got a little deep trough or a log that you want to, you know, throw a jig by. You fish it and you either get your fish and you get out of there, or you don't get anything, but you don't spend a lot of time in here. You guys can probably see this ship here. If you are fishing these cuts and you are within a quarter mile of the channel, always be aware, if I was to pull up here and I wanted to fish this and I see that ship, I know I've got about 5 minutes to fish this, get the fish out of there if I'm going to catch them, and then get out of here, because these ships will come in and they will literally blow this area out. They will suck the water through these cuts, and you know, they'll just tear them up, and the fish will take a while to reset. So with that, check them out. Let me know how you do. Send me a picture of a big fish if you get one in here, and good luck. We'll see you guys on the river.